Devlog day 2 of the big development. Today's topic is mostly creating new things and realizing that the things you've created are really freaking awesome. To quickly recap, a while ago I created a system for adding debuffs to my projectiles, a system that in a sense at that time seemed very overly engineered, having a very big status definition that on application could do a lot of certain things. You could add a lot of different upgrades or do things, multiple effects with debuffs, durations, all of that. And it felt at that point like we're creating a very, very complicated system that we're only using to apply debuffs. Last night I had an idea that I wanted to create something that wasn't a debuff, but more in the length of a buff to the tower. And that's what I created today. So under now the composite section, we now have something called Overclock Tower, which is exactly the same, a normal weapon with a debuff that it applies, but instead of targeting the enemies or the boxes, we now target the tower. So it's the same thing, it's the same system, just swapping the parameters around a bit. So now here we have a weapon that targets the nearest weapon, or targets nearest target, and we set that to target the tower. That means that we now shoot the tower instead of the boxes, which is intended. So now the projectile is also set to target the tower, and because that when you target something in that layer, you automatically apply the debuff. So we now have a positive debuff that lasts for 10 seconds. So this positive debuff applies a 50% attack speed bonus for 10 seconds. And it's the exact same system that we built previously, only changing the targets, which is so amazing that what we build is so correct, and what's being built is so correct that it's going to be applied to many, many, many things. And that feels amazing. So the new weapon is available in here. It's called the Overclock Tower, and it's applied as a cooldown that you then apply to the tower. It deals 50 damage to the tower, meaning that it's more of a late game thing that you use. And I really enjoy it. I also realize now that I use this that the things that we created previously are so fucking cool, especially the Reflective Prism. This is by far like my favorite thing, and it is so cool to see this working. We can spawn a few Reflective Prisms and then put a Mega Laser in, which is one of the craziest visuals that I have. We can also put some rolling fireballs and just look at the destruction that this causes. So the prism spawns in, and then once the laser fires, the prisms of course catch those and just multiplies them all over the place. And it's such a cool visual to have this, especially now also with like the rolling fireballs. These roll about, touch the prisms, and then it just keeps on multiplying that effect. What's even cooler in this system is that this is like out of the box, it just works. That is so amazing. So if we now go back to the HUD, we can now also make this even more cool. Because of this system interact with each other, we can add the duplicator, which I've also added. So by adding like 3 duplicators, we now cause every reflective prism to spawn more copies of whatever it catches. So now we have multiple mega lasers fire, we have multiple prisms spawning, and just by adding a few things, everything just goes crazy. And this is even before making the prisms able to reflect other prisms, because that's disabled. If that was the case, we would have like a crazy amount of as you can see, it's awesome. Like the visual is so awesome. So we can just add more silly things. We can add the logs and the glaives and water hose, like just add everything that we have and just throw it at the wall. And now it's just gonna go completely mental because now everything's gonna reflect all over the place. And it is such a cool visual to see how a few small systems can do something like this. I love it. And I am so happy to be working on this because the vision that I have is slowly but surely like coming to fruition. This is what I was envisioning, like just this crazy system in place, and it works. It's awesome.